anyone says about me. It doesn't matter what anyone says about me. You know what I mean? I'm a totally different entity what other people think. Michael and Tyson are two different people. I'm Tyson here. To my children, I'm and my wife, I'm Mike and Daddy, but I'm Tyson here. Tyson's nothing. Tyson's just a freak. Tyson's just somebody that generates a ton of money. No one knows me. No one has any kind of consideration for my feelings, my pain, anything I've ever been through in my life.
Mike Tyson, of course, training Francis Ngannou or fronting. We're going to find out right now. Aaron Snowell, how are you today, young man?
All right. How you doing, Pedro?
I'm doing just fine.
Thank you for me, brother.
I gotta ask you this: is Mike Tyson training Francis Ngannou, or is Mike Tyson advising Francis Ngannou? There's a bit of a difference.
Well, to my understanding, he's doing a little bit of both, and hopefully he can make the adjustments from the UFC in the fighting someone on the top of their game like a Tyson Fury. It's a big task at hand, and whether he can pull it off or not is going to be another story. But it is, to my understanding, he can punch.
Yep.
So he got a puncher's chance.
Okay. I'm going to say this to you. You're a boxing historian. Anytime the heavyweight champion of the world steps into the ring, his title is on the line, whether it's not on the line or whether it's online officially or not. Can we agree on that?
Oh, absolutely, Pedro. You know that. You know, because when you fight the man that fought the man, that beat the man that fought the man, you become the man. And Tyson Fury did that. You know, perception is everything.
Okay.
So if he climbs in there and he gets beat, well, guess what? The man who beats him is going to be the man. It just goes like that, you know. Whether it be a sanctioned fight or non-sanctioned fight, that's the way the public's going to view it.
That's the way. I mean, going back to the days of James J. Corbett and things like the fights here in Colma, California. I mean, that's just the way it's done. The heavyweight champion, when he appeared, his title was on the line, no doubt about that. Now, how's life treating you?
Well, life's treating me great. And Pedro, when you mentioned Corbett in San Francisco, don't forget Jack Johnson, one of his first losses that he had was in San Francisco, brother.
Well, they actually didn't fight in San Francisco. They fought in Colma, which was right across the border. They called it Colma. It was Daly City. It's like right across up on Mission Street. Right when you cross Sickles and Mission, that's where the arena used to be. They built an outdoor arena that will hold like over 100,000 people.
That is correct, Pedro. What history, you know? But you know, they called it San Francisco where he fought. But you're right, Pedro. To be absolutely exact, you're right.
To be geographically exact. Yeah, okay, good point about that one. Now, we're looking at guys in the world of mixed martial arts. I'm going to bring this up to you. Maybe you can agree with me. Maybe you don't. But when you hit guys when they're down, when the guys are down and their head's got nowhere to go, I think that you're asking for serious brain damage. And that's what's going on in the UFC. In fact, if you look at the numbers, the UFC fighters are 3 times more likely to suffer chronic traumatic encephalopathy than a professional boxer. And an NFL player is twice as likely to suffer CTE than a boxer. So what I'm trying to tell you is that these guys getting hit when they're on the ground, I mean, there's nowhere to give. In other words, if I jab you with a boxing glove, your head's going to go backwards a little bit. But if I hit you when you're on the ground, nothing's going to happen except your head's going to absorb the punch.
Yeah, well, you're absolutely right, Pedro. You're a former fighter. Yeah. You know, a lot of people may not know that, but you understand what happens to fighters when you get hit. You know, a lot of safety measures that were taking place in the game of boxing, such as the gloves from 4 ounces to 10 ounces, 8 ounces for under 60 pounds. All of those measures that were taken were for the safety of the boxer, of professional boxing. Now, with the UFC, how they got around the regulation was Mark Ratner.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Dana White wouldn't hire Mark Ratner. For those who don't know, he was the commissioner of the Nevada Commission, which was the primary leader in professional boxing commissions. and they gave him $1 million. He sat president of the UFC and got, I think it was $1 million a year that helped them get around the regulation in terms of the safety issues. And that thing, that's how the UFC and mixed martial arts, that kind of activity, because it was banned at one time. Don't forget, boxing had already went through that era, Pedro. If you remember, in the bare knuckles days, you could knock a guy down, stand over top of him, and whack him. Just when he was getting ready to get up, those type of things were changed because of safety. And then with in England, those Brockton rules that help organize the sport for the safety of the boxer and the fighter, and that's what it's all about: safety, safety, safety. Pedro, because we don't want to see. We enjoy the sport. We love the sport. We don't want to see nobody get seriously injured where it mounts to death. Because when one person dies like that, it's like you lost all of mankind.
But you know. I know, but you and I, see, here's what we go to these events, these Hall of Fames, these dinners and this and that, and we see the residual effects it's taking place in some of these fighters, this and that. And some of the fighters are like, are somewhat semi-destitute, don't have any money, this and that. But with Dana White's crew, I mean, those guys, they're not even getting paid at all. Do you know Francis Ngannou, the most he ever made before was $500,000, and he drew $10 million gates plus pay-per-view?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Pedro. But like we all the time say, is that he had the complexion for the protection, as Muhammad Ali used to say, for him to get away with that. Could you imagine if Don King had done something like that? He was paying people more than everybody else, and they still try to tag him with that. He's a robber, he's a thief, he's a crook. And he don't pay guys the amount of money that they rightfully deserve.
Let me jump in here. Right? Okay, let me jump in here. He always paid me every cent that he said he was going to pay me, every single cent. And I'm going to tell you like this: I ran a bit of a game on Don King. Not too many people can run a game, but I ran a bit of a game. He gave me some first-class accommodations to Paris one time. Okay, I was doing something from so anyway, I got slick and I went to the airport and I cashed in the first class ticket and flew the same flight coach. Okay, and I did this like 3 or 4 different times to 3 or 4 different places around the world, and I put like $4 or $5 grand in my pocket. Okay, so anyway, he finds out, and I say to myself, "This is it. I'm fired. I'm done. That probably wasn't cool, Pete. You shouldn't have done it, blah, blah, blah. You're stealing money from the boss, the whole 9 yards." Then I said to myself, no, I'm still getting there at the same time. Anyway, he said to me, "Mother Ducker, if you're late, you're fired." Okay? And yeah, Ducker and said, "You know what? But the bottom line is that's just the way you put it. If you're late, you're fired. If you're ever late, you're fired." But he sort of admired the hustle. He always treated me well. I mean, at one point in time, I'll bring up another Don King good thing. I was doing a fight for him in Las Vegas, and I was televising it, and King Vision, I think me and Bob Sheridan, I think it was Bob Sheridan. Anyway, Don King was promoting it at the weigh-in the day before. I was sitting there at the weigh-in, and the weigh-in, the pre-fight production meeting, and I had my daughter on my lap, and she was like 3 years old. And Don says, Pedro, do you have a nanny for her tomorrow? I mean, come on, man. The guy's a CEO. He's got zillions of dollars going on, back and forth, this and that, and he's worried about me and my kid having a nanny for the fight.
Yeah, well, that's only right. You know what I mean? He did a lot of great things to help the sport of boxing. And, with that came a lot of criticism. People, criticize him. A lot of it was enviness and jealousy of the things that they said he did and this and that.
You know what? Though,
I tell all of them that say those type of things, I say, well, what did you do with the money that he did give you?
Okay, here's what's up. I remember one time when Donald Trump came, he told me we were having breakfast in this press room, his office in Atlantic City. So we're having breakfast, and they brought us in a ping pong table full of food. We had our own, what do they call a buffet? We had our own buffet.
Our own buffet, correct.
Our own buffet. So everything you met, it was all there. So anyway, I'm eating this, that, and Don King, the phone rang. And Impeccable's probably heard the story before, so he's working his nose. Anyway, the phone rings, and it's Don King. So Donald Trump's talking to him. It's Donald Trump. So Don King says, yeah, okay. So anyway, Don King says to me, Pedro. I said, yeah. I go, Donald Trump's coming downstairs. Yeah. I said, and the mother ducker don't shake hands. I said, I don't want to shake his hand. I really don't like the dude anyway. Blah, 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 blah. He goes, well, get your ass in the back of the room. Now go sit in the back of the room. I don't want you messing this up for us. Go in the back of the room. So when I went in the back of the room, and he actually sent me to the back of the room. I sat down, ate the rest of my breakfast. Donald Trump came in. He took a picture with Don King. And for that photo op, Don King got $280,000 for a party that night for Sugar Ray Robinson.
Yeah. And, Don King, he helped bury Sugar Ray Robinson.
I didn't
and
know
Bodini Brown. A lot of people don't know that, different kind of charity work because we don't publicize it. But he did help bury those guys.
The turkey drive. Every Thanksgiving he would come on the show.
The turkey tour where they tore up the limo.
Yeah.
Remember in Brooklyn handing out the turkeys. The line was still long and people were still wanting turkeys and needed turkeys, and there was no more turkeys after 3 tractor trailer full of turkeys. And they start jumping on the limo, damaged the hood. The car was hanging on while everybody was trying to get up out of there. Yeah, those days were something. And we in different cities around the country, handing out turkeys to the downtrodden and the poor, and the ones left out and the ones kicked to the side. And those type of things, man. The promotions of these days, promoters of this day, they don't do such things like that with different fighters to take them around. And you remember the military stuff Don used to do with the military guys in Vegas? It was something.
No. What he did with the military guys was when he couldn't sell tickets, he had all the military guys fill up the seats.
Yeah. He brings from the Army base down there. He jammed them, said he's going to give the seats to the military guys.
Yeah.
Instead of them being empty. He did that. What a great promotional tool. That he used to bring, only in America, baby, like he said.
Okay, so only in America. What's the king? I call him the king of nap. He loves that. You are the king of nap. He loved that one. The wire-haired wonder, another name that I gave him. But the bottom line is, what's he doing now? He's got a card coming up. Is it November the 4th?
Yes, it is November the 4th, and Adrian Bronner is headlining. Him and Adrian Bronner has teamed up. He's teamed up with Don King. He fought in June. And he's coming back November 4th at the Miami casino, the old Highlight.
Yeah. So we did a lot of stuff. We did a lot of stuff there, man. We did a lot of fights there.
Yeah, a lot of fights there at the Highlight back in the day, and Don King has brought it back since they turned it to the Highlight. He's been the Miami casino, that is. Mm-hmm. That he's doing, fight cards. Don, he's still putting on 5-6 title fights. He got 2 heavyweight championship fights on that undercard. So he's just doing it, man. Like he says, he's 92 years young, and he keeps going.
All right, so what you need? You need to get on the phone and tell him, listen, let Ira Glass produce the show. Let Pedro and Aaron do the talent. We'll bring a chick in to look good. She can count the rounds, score the rounds, and we'll give them a kick-ass production.
Well, you got a point. I think that that may be able to happen. The only thing we can do is ask. He can't say no. But I think what the first start you should do, Pedro, is. Man, bring Don on your show like old times, man.
I do, but here's what
3 hours.
I do,
but 3 hours
time
with Don and let him go.
Aaron.
You know how it go. Let him just rap away for 3 hours.
Anyway, Don, I do let him go. When I call him, my phone says AAA Discreet Investigations, and he won't pick up the phone. I got to run, Aaron Snow. All the best to you. I love you.
I love you too, brother Pedro, and thank you. We have sat on the telecast together many times down all across the country, and it's always a pleasure to sit on the telecast with you and commentate fights, man. You're a great guy, great radio guy, and keep up the good work that you're doing with Ringside Boxing.
My partner, Aaron Snow, you are tuned to Ring Talk Live World.